Hello. Okay, that worked completely. So I'm still working on my post on telling you guys about this because StreamYard had changed it and I couldn't delete that one. And now it looks like they did delete. So I might mix it up next time. But hey, welcome. I'm going to do something a little different today. I'm going to tell some crime stories. I'm going to put a little different twist on it. So let's do the intro and then I'll be back. Got to find it first. You know me. Can't do anything right away. Boom! Let's do this. Okay, I was not sure I was live. I did not set my settings to do not disturb, but does anybody else have an iPhone? We went through, I don't know how to do the new things now. I can't find my settings fast enough. And, oh, there it is. Okay. Everything's always different here. So I'm just going to go ahead and put my do not disturb on. Whoa. Oh my gosh, it's just not letting me. All right, you know what? Hopefully nobody calls me. It's always something new. All right. Hey, you guys, it's almost Thanksgiving. So we have a lot to be thankful for. I decided. So do you remember when? Now, this isn't perfect. I'm going to be reading stuff from my iPad. I don't have hours and hours of this done, but this is something that I'm thinking about doing. And I haven't followed through with a lot of stuff. So like Viking on the Move, I still want to do it. It's just that I'm busy and I'm tired and I don't want to do it. So I kind of changed it like, oh, Thanksgiving mayhem. So I'm going to tell you some stories. Okay. I'm going to tell you some true crime stories. And I'm going to use an East Coast accent, it's a Jersey accent. And so the reason why I'm doing this, if you remember, when I taught high school, I taught a whole lesson one day to all the kids. It was like 5 classes of 50-something minutes in that accent. And all the kids were like, oh my God, they loved it. And I was in Vegas for a Sisterhood of Highland Throwers clinic, which was amazing, by the way. I think I need to interview some of the peeps, the coaches, and Joanna Barron and Denise Green and Elisa Van Vleck, because it was amazing and the knowledge was amazing. So I was telling Jennifer Taylor about this and how I did, taught the Odyssey, like, okay, there's this guy, he's a giant, he's got one eye. And she's like, why don't you tell stories like that? I would totally listen. And I was like, I have been talking with my sister for literally years. And like, why don't I tell true crime stories like that? I don't want to offend anyone. True crime stories are not cool because it's crime, but it puts a little interesting twist on it, I think. So tell me what you think. I'm going to talk about it. It's, you know what? Who cares? One of the things I was going to talk about tonight was quit being so consumed with what others think about you, right? Like if you want to do something, just do it. People are going to love it. People are going to hate it. It doesn't matter. Like if you enjoy doing it, just do it, right? And hopefully there are some people that'll like it. I love doing silly things. There's way too much just awfulness in the world right now, So, hey, let's just go with it. So I used these 3 articles. So if I had all the time, like a lot of the YouTubers on the YouTubes, then I would, put a compilation together in my own words and stuff. So I'll still kind of tell it in my own words. But this first one is from this Criminal Element. And it says, Thanksgiving is America's... Okay, I'm going to do my accent. Are you ready now? Thanksgiving, America's deadliest holiday. I mean, of course, right? There's a lot of people eating and drinking and stuff. Okay, so I got to put my glasses on. Okay. So, of course, Thanksgiving is a holiday that causes a lot of animosity. People are eating, they're drinking, they're getting together with family members, some they haven't seen in a long time. You have that crazy person in your life. You have that person in your family where you're like, oh my God, I hope Uncle Jimmy doesn't show up, or whoever it is. And then it's always a disaster. So in this article here, it talks about some things, some grisly facts about Thanksgiving. More than 20% of crimes. Now, they call this run-of-the-mill assaults and domestic violence, or DV. I don't know if I can say that. It rises during Thanksgiving, 20%. I don't know what a run-of-the-mill crime is, but DV certainly isn't. So that's kind of sad. And there's over 50 million people driving by car, and there are more car-related deaths on Thanksgiving than any other holiday, including New Year's Eve. Isn't that crazy? So another thing is that, the things, okay, so this is one thing I thought of. You know that thing that people do, and they put that turkey in that fryer thing, and they put it out back, and then people have fires and stuff? That's crazy. That's crazy. Has anybody ever experienced that? Now, there's some things you might have forgotten. Ooh, and I've got to put this up here. Here come the stories. Are you ready? Thanksgiving crime talk. Okay. So, I have to go to the end of it. Hang on a second. Let me remove it and see if I can go down to the end because I messed up. Okay. Who remembers who this person is? So there are 5 tragedies, famous tragedies that happened on this holiday. And this is Natalie Wood. And she drowned on this day in 1981. And if anybody remembers, or if you like watching reruns, that's her and her husband, Robert. Oh, shoot, what's his name? It's right here. Robert Wagner. And actually, it was Robert Wagner, Natalie Wood, and Christopher Walken, and they were all on a boat. Suddenly, Natalie's gone. They don't know what's going on. She's gone. Nobody ever got accused of the crime, but they still have speculations about it. This happened on Thanksgiving, like I said, in 1981. You don't need to see my big face there. All right, and then we got another one here. You ready for this one? Tiger Woods. This is when he had his big crash. It happened in 2009, and I do believe that he was drunk driving. You guys, correct me if I'm wrong. Oops, see, I didn't do this right. You can hear my phone. Now maybe the ringer's off. And I believe that his wife was coming after him with the golf club. If memory serves me correctly. Who remembers these two were together? I totally forgot. Pamela Anderson, a Kid Rock, whatever. Okay, so in the article it says they were married in July 2006. In November of that year, Anderson had suffered a miscarriage, which is really unfortunate. But then by the Monday after Thanksgiving, they were done and they filed for divorce. And then here's a lot of everybody's favorites. Robert Downey Jr. So when he was doing Ally McBeal, it was like 2001, he got arrested on drug charges. But he sure came back. And then he started doing Iron Man. So he's doing just fine. And then this guy I didn't know about. Maybe you guys do. Maybe you people that are into the action flicks. This is a guy called Buck Jones. He was like a Western stuntman. Okay. He was in, so it says 2 days after Thanksgiving in 1942, in a Boston swanky coconut grove, 492 people lost their lives in a deadly nightclub fire. And that was this guy. And look at, he had also had, what are those called? Comic books made about him. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the real things. Are you ready? These are the notorious crimes committed on Thanksgiving Day. So now I got to go back to the beginning. So I'm going to take this out. What are you guys thinking so far? So literally, this is my little intro to it. And I would basically tell the story in 10 or 15 minutes, one story, and then I'd be done. Okay, so here we are. Thanksgiving crime talk. You know, who knew how many things that would start with K that would go with Katy, even though it's not spelled right, it's not spelled correctly, it doesn't matter. All right, here's the first one. You ready for this guy? Oh my goodness. All right, this guy, his name is Joel. Okay, Joel Michael Guy Jr. He visited his parents and his sister on Thanksgiving. And he stayed at his parents' house that they just got under contract to sell. You guys know I'm a realtor, right? So they just got under contract to sell. They had a nice dinner. It went really well. But then Joel attacked his parents with a knife that evening, dismembering their bodies and attempting to dissolve the body parts in chemicals. Now, this was like way before Breaking Bad. So that's crazy, okay? And then they scattered their grotesque remains about the home. Then they have a little snarky thing. I wonder if that contingency was covered in the buyer's real estate contract. Now, those buyers are certainly going to know, and they could get out of that contract. I'll tell you that much. Okay, here. Now, this lady right here is crazy. Her name is Omaima Nelson, And she was a model who killed, castrated, and ate her husband on Thanksgiving. Ate him. Totally ate him. So on Thanksgiving Day, 1991, she was an Egyptian-born fashion model. She was only 23 and her husband was 56. He was a pilot. She reacted. She killed him. She jumped on him. She plunged a pair of scissors into his chest. Then she grabbed an iron and she started beating him and pummeling him over and over and over as he was begging for his life. She beat him so fiercely that the iron broke. I mean, imagine how hard that must have been, right? And then she proceeded to butcher his body on the kitchen floor. She boiled his hands in oil to remove the fingerprints. She stuck his head in the freezer so she could later take out his teeth. And then she made a point of castrating him. And then she cooked ribs from his body and ate them. This is another picture of her with that amazing 80s hair. And that's her lovely husband of 56 years old. I mean, maybe don't marry an old man. So I took this from Twitter. I hope to God that's not the picture. I keep wanting to go out of character here. I hope to God that's not the picture. If that's the picture of his actual body parts that she ate, that's disgusting. I mean, nobody wants to suffer DV. Not at all. But to actually carry it this far, that's a little crazy. All right, here's your next guy. Doesn't he look like a swell fella? Paul Michael Merhige, I think. Merhige. So he did a Thanksgiving massacre that he had been thinking about for 20 years. On November 26th, 2009, South Florida resident Paul Michael Merhige, whatever. He ate a hearty Thanksgiving meal with 16 family members and friends and joked around and had sing-alongs, all of it. And then he whipped out a handgun and he executed 4 relatives, including his cousin-in-law, his twin sisters, one of whom was pregnant, and his cousin's 6-year-old daughter. 6-year-old daughter. Afterward, he said, I've been waiting for 20 years. He fled the scene, but he was eventually captured and cut a plea deal for 7 consecutive life sentences to avoid the death penalty. And up next, now I'm sorry, that's all. I only got blurry pictures. This is Elias Clay Oliver. Colorado father, he kills his son over unfinished Thanksgiving chores. That totally makes sense. My dishwasher's broken. My parents are coming out here. What's going to happen? They're going to get mad at me? He was annoyed with his son. He was 76 at the time. His son was 49. And his son didn't want to help around the house. And it escalated to homicide on Thanksgiving Day in 2009. He said he'd been arguing for hours and that he kept asking his son to leave, and his son refused. So his son went upstairs, retrieved a .357 caliber revolver, and shot Oliver to death. I mean, that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? All right, look at this swell fella. This guy's name is Byron David Smith. Now, I wonder why they're always using 3 names. Is this like the assassination thing? I don't know. Byron David Smith was a retired... No, this is a crazy story. I want you to listen to this one. He was a retired security engineering officer with the U.S. State Department. He dealt with his Little Falls, Minnesota home being burglarized several times in his many months. He installed an alarm system, and he had video cameras because he wanted to catch the perpetrators, okay? So the video from that day shows that Smith was moving his truck from the driveway prior to the break-in to make sure that there was a clear view. Then he went to the basement to wait. In the camera, teens can be seen. Haley Elaine Kiefer, 18, and her cousin, Nicholas Brady, 17, were both unarmed. And Smith had suspected Kiefer and Brady of having been responsible for at least some of the earlier break-ins. So I think he knew who the kids were. And they were later suspected of a robbery of a retired school teacher that had occurred earlier that day. So Smith sat in his basement waiting, and he had a tape recorder running. There are hours of audio, but what came at the end was the sound of breaking glass and the ensuing confrontation. The audio captures the shots fired. Smith's statements during and after the killings included, I refuse to live in fear. I'm not a bleeding heart liberal. I felt like I was cleaning up a mess. I was doing my civic duty. I don't see them as human. I see them as vermin. So despite the 2 dead bodies in his house, Smith actually didn't call the police until the next day, stating that he didn't want to bother them because of the Thanksgiving holiday. And there he is in all his glory in his mugshot. And that's it, because I had those out of order. So that's it. All right, so that's what I would do. I would basically just read these, with that accent. It was kind of last minute today. It was just kind of fun putting it together. Not fun stories, but just a different take on it. So it certainly makes you know what you're thankful for, right? So I'm thankful for all of you. I'm thankful for all of you who are nice and caring people. There's too much there's just so much stuff going on. There's just so much drama everywhere. We just don't need it. We just don't need it. We don't. It's unnecessary. So I'm sending you love. You know what Sid Squatch says? The journey begins with you. So be good to yourself. And I love you. Peace and love, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a great night. And if you didn't, it's okay too. See ya in 2 weeks. Oh, I leave on Friday, fly to El Paso, rent a car, drive to Alamogordo. My parents are picking me up, and then I'm driving them back here on Sunday. So you'll see them on the next one. Oh, I have a comment at the end of the show. All right, I'll grab that on there. Ta-da! Shell says, hey, girl, hey, I have tons to be grateful for. Believe you me. Oh, good. Good. Yes, that was interesting. Well, yeah, it was just fun, right? So I could tell stories in my voice, too. Whatever you guys think is better, but this is kind of fun. All right, guys. Love ya.